Hi everyone, this is Megan Bunsell, your cancer expert, and I'm the owner and CEO of Cancer Peace University, where it is our goal to set you free from the fear of cancer. And in this video, I'm going to explore transcendent experiences to share a little bit more about some of the experiences that people have that help them in transition times. Now, unfortunately, with cancer, when someone has a cancer diagnosis, there are different phases of the diagnosis. There's the active cancer phase when someone is pursuing all of their treatment healing options. And with cancer, not everyone is going to move from the active cancer phase to the phase of healed. And something that's challenging to talk about, especially in the Western culture, is to talk about the reality that not everyone will survive a cancer diagnosis, and to talk more about how to make peace with life and peace with death becomes very important. Because when a cancer patient transitions from the healing phase into the dying phase, we need to know how to support someone psychologically and help them to experience a transcendent death. We all have an incurable disease, which is aging. One day, eventually, all of us will die. And because of that, it's important that we explore our beliefs about life after death and also find peace with our life and peace with death. And part of the process of experiencing a transcendent death is to be able to resolve unresolved regrets, conflicts, to let go. And researchers in the neuroscience field of transcendent experiences have found that 1 out of 20 people experience a transcendent death. What is a transcendent death? Transcendent death is a half an hour to 48 hours before someone dies. They experience a profound personality shift, many times not needing pain medication at all or having a very greatly reduced need for pain medication. And something major shifts in their personality. I remember when my friend Sherry was in hospice care and she was in the active dying phase. I remember that 48 hours before she died, all of a sudden she came out of a semi-comatose state, sat up in bed, and she began to talk. But she had a major shift in her personality. She was calm, serene, peaceful. Her voice was soft, kind, and gentle. And the usual look of hardness and bitterness had literally melted off of her face. And she had clearly gone through a profound transformation in the week leading up to her death. Transcendent research looks at the transcendent state, and in the field of neuroscience, it's been discovered that during a transcendent state, part of the brain literally shuts off. The posterior superior parietal lobe in the brain is the part of the brain that distinguishes self and finds self in its environment. During a transcendent experience, this part of the brain is literally switched off, which is why when someone has a transcendent experience, they feel one with the universe, one with God and nature, and they literally do not distinguish themselves from others. Many times after a transcendent experience, people feel like their lives are more meaningful. They feel less anxiety and fear. And there's a sense of freedom in a transcendent experience to feel like you're not alone and to feel like there's a oneness in the universe. Transcendent experiences can occur when you fall in love and produce high levels of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. When I was in love, I remember I did not have a care in the world. I was smiling all the time despite normal day-to-day stressors and normal things that would frustrate me in the past were not frustrating me. I was always smiling. I didn't need to sleep. I didn't need to eat. I was living on the love hormone oxytocin. Sometimes people have an experience in nature that will give them a transcendent type experience. Some people use mind altering substances to go into a state of transcendence. Other people experience transcendence through meditation, prayer, singing, worship, and chanting. And the goal when someone moves from an active cancer diagnosis into the active dying phase is to help them to remove their ties to the world, to let go of regrets, fears, bitterness, resentment, things that have been unresolved, to cut ties to the earth, to let go of fears, and to embrace the reality of what is next for them. Some people enter into the dying phase without a lot of beliefs surrounding life after death. And sometimes people have not explored their beliefs about spiritual concepts during their life. And in the active dying phase, there's an opportunity to explore your beliefs about life after death, to solidify your beliefs, to embrace your beliefs. A lot of times, people that have not had spiritual beliefs about life after death during their life, they become curious about what happens after they die. They become more spiritually open. They become desiring of a spiritual connection and desiring to make a transition. And during the active dying phase, it's entirely possible to make that type of connection and to view your life from a place of eternity and from a perspective that there is life after death. And that opens the possibility to experience that type of transcendent death. And another important activity during the dying phase is to review your life that you've lived, to notice patterns and themes, to look at your personality and the things that you've learned and accomplished in life, to let go of the negative, the suffering, and the bad, to forgive yourself and others, even to forgive God, and to open up to the possibility of spiritual connection. It's also important to be able to let go of successes and triumphs and earthly possessions and to be open to experience a oneness with the universe, a oneness with God, and to embrace the possibility that there is an experience for you after you die. And it is our goal at Cancer Peace University to help cancer patients through the transition phase from the healing phase during an active cancer diagnosis into the dying phase. And we help you to ask some of the questions you have in your head, to process your emotions, to explore your beliefs, and to find a peace and a transcendence in your death and acceptance of your life and acceptance of death, and to transition in a profound way that will provide a lot of peace and as little emotional scarring to everyone around the person that's dying and to the person that's dying themselves. I hope that this is encouraging to people who have experienced transcendent experiences. I don't know if you have experienced someone dying, having a transcendent experience, like my friend Sherry, who had a major personality shift. When she went through her major personality shift, several days before, our mutual friend had come and shared her story of how she forgave her ex-husband and had been hurt as well in a husband-wife relationship. And Sherry had the hardest time forgiving her ex-husband. And thus, our friend shared her story of forgiveness while Sherry was in a semi-comatose state. And we knew that Sherry could hear. And it was evident that she not only heard the story, but she was also able to forgive her ex-husband because the bitterness literally melted off her face. And 48 hours before she died, she was completely free from bitterness and had complete peace and had released her anger and resentment towards her ex-husband. I hope this is encouraging to you and helps you to consider and ponder some of the deeper questions about death and life and how to experience a transcendent death.